Well, you're live.
We all live? Okay. Can we do it live? Can we do something here?
You can't do it
There's
from
an
your.
event that we have.
We're getting ready to
You
start.
can't do it from. Maybe.
We're trying to go live in multiple different places, so
Where?
Try here.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
though
we have an event.
that you should join Bola's
You
live.
didn't click the live though.
Where is it?
Mommy, I just pointed to you.
Hello, Tarayo just joined.
Hi,
You have your
Tamara.
glasses on this time though. We're getting ready to start. Happy you're here with us today.
Okay.
It could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with
Oh,
us.
you're on.
Alrighty. Let me pull closer.
Okay, I gotta find a place to put this one.
Yes.
Hi, Tarayo. How are you? Hi, Tracy.
Well, Tracy's
Oh,
on
you
some
guys are
days
on
today.
different things. All right.
Do you
So,
want it both?
huh?
Do you want both?
Yeah, we're on
We're live now.
Okay, good. Thanks, Nuana.
No.
Shit.
Alrighty, so we're gonna go today. We're doing a replay, and by replay, we're basically talking about the session that we had with Dr. Bolanley, and it was on mental health and self-care.
Is
So-
Dr. Bolanley joining?
I don't think Dr. Bolanley is going to be able to join. It would be nice, but I don't know. We'll see. But as we get ready for Christmas, anyways, and the holidays, which are a very stressful time of the year. Oh, Tracy is saying who's the artist on that was being played. So the music.
Oh,
you
the
were
artist.
playing
Oh, that was being played. I thought she was
just now.
talking about the painting. So that is the artist is Sam. I used to be obsessed with him a couple
I forget the name of the
years
artist,
back,
but
but it's It's Moses Sumney. He is Ghanaian, I believe. He's Ghanaian. Yeah, the song is called Doom. It's dope. Check it out.
Yeah. He makes really good songs. But yeah, so I wanted to talk. I think this is probably an appropriate topic for this time of the year: self-care and mental health. So when we spoke with Dr. Bolanley, who is actually a therapist, she is, I think she's a psychiatrist and works with patients who have various types of mental health issues. Not that we don't all, but some of them requiring medicine. So she basically has different types of interventions that she does with them. Not all of them require medication. Some of them are more from a holistic perspective, meaning meditation, yoga, or any other thing that she may find to be useful that she would recommend. But we chatted with her right around the time when there was the killing of, I forgot the first person who...
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery, yes.
George Floyd, I don't know.
And honestly, at the time when I was listening to the podcast again, I remember at the time I hadn't really fully immersed myself in the news about the killings, just because I felt traumatized by it. So I think we spend a bit of time just talking about how do you, from a self-care perspective, manage the type of trauma that you expose yourself to, especially when you're hearing news having to do with Black children being killed, Black men being killed, and we happen to have children. We have boys. We're Mac is also my husband. So they're very. And I guess I, as a Black woman, I'm not exempt either from the trauma or even the tragedy that can be dealt to us at the hands of the state sometimes. So it's really, how do you protect yourself, but also be self-aware? And I was struggling with that a bit. Because I knew that my psyche could not withstand so much trauma. But I also knew that there was so much news breaking around, Black Lives Matter and wanting to do more. So we just spent some time around how do you balance all of this. And of course, societally, we're always going to have things thrusted upon us. But as individuals, we know what our limits are. So I think it's important for us to always stay tuned to yourself and think about what is too much for you. And this being another stressful time of the year, being the holiday times, I know that's a time when a lot of people get stressed. A lot of people, take on too much with responsibilities of buying for family members or even partaking in various activities. And then, of course, with COVID being what it is, some of us who are used to spending time with family during the holidays now may not have that as an outlet. So I guess I'll just start off by asking, and you guys can chime in as well. Hi, Tayo. I see Tayo's joined. You guys can chime in and let me know, number one, what does self-care mean to you? Just in general, outside of the scope of mental health. And then I also want to talk about how it relates to mental health. So how do you start to feel like some things are too much, so you need to take a mental break, and what do you do for that? And then what are recommendations in general that you are employing this time of the year to make sure that, you're not getting stressed out? So I kind of want to, so why don't I just do an introduction, Mac Bola?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so
I think
you can jump in.
people who are here know who we are at this point.
Yeah, but we have a replay a lot of times. Hi, Tayo.
You're right.
So a lot of times people may go back and listen. But yeah, so what does mental health mean to you?
Mental health.
No, self-care.
Self-care. Okay, what does self-care mean to me? Well, these days, working out, for a long time I stopped working out. I used to work out when I was younger, and then I stopped working out because I was like, I don't need to work out. Let's not get into it. But since I was turning 40, I decided, I'm not getting younger, so now I need to get back in the gym. So working out is one of the ways, and it's a particularly good one for me. I dragged my son. Well, I didn't really drag him. He's going with us now. But he came with us with me this morning, and I was letting him know one of the reasons why I like working out, because it is hard work, but you bulk up the minute after you work out, so like you get that immediate reward because you look much better as immediately after you get done, so you get your reward of looking somewhat decent, looking somewhat good when you get out. So that's definitely one. One of the things that I do enjoy probably a bit too much is watching TV. Elo Ratio and Basola are saying hi.
Hi, guys.
So yeah, music, definitely music. I love music.
I think that's Horacio from business school. Hey, Horacio, I believe so, if I recognize that name. But go ahead, music, okay.
Music.
Uh-huh.
Music is. I love music. I love all types of music. It always gets me in the right mood. So I would definitely put music as a self-care.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Okay, so working out and self-care are the two ways. I mean, working out and music are the two ways that you pay attention to your self-care habits. And are these intentional? You do these things intentionally on a daily basis, or do you just have like an internal clock that reminds you that you need to go work out, or how does that show up?
For workout, I have a regimen, 2 days on, 2 days to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's just something that I do. In fact, sometimes it's a pain trying to get back into it. But whereas music, I think this is something that I want to do more. I don't do it as sometimes it happens. Like usually if I get into the car, then I'm putting on my music and I'm a vibe to it. But I think I kind of want to, and also not sure whether or not I want to start using music, because when I'm feeling low, because for one, I don't want to have it basically kind of dissipate, like the impact of it, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't want it to not work and then I'm like, okay, this doesn't do what I wanted to do. So I don't know. I really, really want to focus more on being able to kind of let things go. Like the practice of letting things go and trying to get back to positivity and staying present and being grateful in the moment. So that's a practice.
Yeah. No, that's good. So for me, self-care is probably something that I've stumbled upon more recently in terms of doing more intentionally. I think in the past, kind of like you, it was just watching TV when I got overwhelmed, or drinking. My drinking habit got really bad when I started working full time. I feel like I always talk about corporate America and how much of a toll it had on me, but woof, that was a toll. I would come home because my commute to work was 2 hours, basically. Commute back was 2 hours. So by the time I came home and the kids were younger at the time, I really felt like just to cope, I needed at least 2 glasses of wine. I don't know if I was an alcoholic, but I would say I probably wasn't. It's probably why I don't remember a lot of those years either. I don't know what, I just needed something to cope. And I remember looking up. Huh?
You sure that's not how it still is right now?
No, I don't drink as much. I'm actually trying to cut back a little bit. But I remember back then thinking, this is how people become functional alcoholics. Because you need something to take that edge off of you. And I still use it. It's still very effective. Like when I get stressed out, I could still have a glass of wine and it will definitely take the edge off of me. But yeah, I did that for the longest time, not realizing that I was self-medicating, basically. And then after that, or throughout that process, I also did a lot of binge watching of TV. So I would work very hard during the week, and then once the weekend came, it was just in bed all day watching TV, which is, once again, not very helpful or productive. Was not working out. My weight ballooned out of control. And I was just in a depressed state, I would say. Was a foggy state. I had a mental fog of some sort. I don't think I knew what it was when I was in it, but I knew I wasn't happy. Not that I was unhappy, but I wasn't happy per se. But it wasn't until I started to piece everything together, probably 2 years ago, when I started being more intentional about self-care, that I realized that all of that was, contributing to an unhealthy lifestyle and state. So what I did at the time for my self-care was I got very routine with my workout. So I would get up every day, work out. I started listening to podcasts on a consistent basis and reading books on a consistent basis. And then also started wanting to occupy more the space of joy. So really evaluating the things that brought me joy and then being intentional about doing those. And that's actually how I knew that I needed to protect myself from certain traumas that came from the environment. I stopped watching the news because that was also creating too much trauma. So I think once you start paying attention to your body, you just realize that, okay, certain things other people may be able to handle mentally, I cannot. And if you can, you have to give yourself the grace to sort of opt out of it and be okay doing that. So that was my thing. And that was one of the takeaways that Dr. Bola gave us, in that there's no right or wrong way for you to, go about self-care. You have to go into the study of yourself, understand what is too much for you, what you need, and be okay taking time to really address that for yourself. So I'm in a good space now. And then you also mentioned presence, which I thought was really good, and I want to talk about that because more recently for me, I've been wanting to undertake the practice of presence, and I'll tell you why. But I'm curious why you started meditating, because I know you've been meditating for some time now, even well before. Probably for like 4 or 5 years. I remember like you would wake the kids up and you guys would all meditate, and I would just laugh like, that's weird. Who's doing that? Why would you get up in the morning and all meditate, but they would all do it, and I would just
Really, what would happen is I'd get them and be like, "Okay, we got to meditate," and they'd all get on the bed
And
then
fall asleep.
back to sleep. Couple more minutes of sleep.
yeah. But you guys, but you've always believed, at least for some time, probably for 5 years or so, you've always believed in the benefits of
Yeah.
meditating. So can you speak to that?
I mean, it's just research and how, it just talks about all the different benefits of being able to meditate. But there's, more recently in that, because a while back there were other benefits, but like more recently it's like just getting into the habit of doing two things. A is being focused, and B is letting things go. And that's part of what being present is about. Like a lot of times, this is one, I don't remember which book talks about this, but I'm pretty sure I got pieces of it from a book. But most people are in turmoil because they're not present. Like they're either thinking about something that they're cringing about, or something that happened in the past, or worrying about some potential thing that could happen in the future. Like this potentially happened this way, and I've got to worry about it. And nobody is sitting there saying, "But look, I'm right here. I'm alive. This thing is happening. Let me enjoy what's happening today." And so, it's about being able to let those thoughts go through your mind, and it is a practice. As with anything, when you develop the habit, it's easier for you to do it. So. Those are the two reasons why I'm trying to get to that. But I know, like, more recent, also not as recently, but I was getting into the spiritual, like I talked about that on the other live that we had, like getting into a spiritual mode. And so it was about also feeling the sense of bliss that comes with like fully,
Being present.
or the absence of thought. Or trying to get to the absence of thought. I don't think I've actually really ever accomplished that. But like, there's like, you can feel yourself getting to that space. So
you said you've never experienced it, but did you experience any benefits from meditating that you noticed as a result of doing it, either back then when you used to do it, when you initially started doing it, or even now that you've done it more consistently over a period of time? Do you notice the difference?
I don't know that I can say definitively I've noticed anything. Like, I can't give you. Because I still think for me it's still a practice. You know what I mean? And I don't know that I can say that I've noticed specifically anything. Other than the fact that I believe that, based on what I've heard, that there are some benefits that I'm probably experiencing, but not tapping into as much as I should.
So you do it not necessarily because you've seen the benefits, but because you've heard there are benefits to it. So you'll just continue the practice of
Right.
doing it.
And I'm also, let's be clear. So when you talk about 4 or 5 years, I haven't been consistent. So I think I've fallen off and come back on and that sort of thing. I just always believed in its power, but never was consistently doing it. And so that's part of the reason too. I'm like, okay, well, even if I don't necessarily see a benefit right away, I know that there's one there.
Some benefits.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you how it shows up for me. So I agree with you when you said, a lot of people torture themselves based on future possible occurrences, or wanting to manipulate some sort of outcome in their favor for the future, or what's happened in the past. So you're thinking a lot about what happened, and you talk about cringeworthy situation. I actually don't dwell as much on the past ish. I don't dwell as much as many people. I don't dwell as much on the past as much as I do on the future. So for me, I am definitely a slave to all the endless list of things that I have to do. And because I am, as much as I say I'm an introvert, I'm definitely a type A personality. So when I set a goal for myself, I want to, and I'm excited about it, I want to go after it. And I usually go after it full force. I think I'm either on or not. If I'm not interested in something, I don't do it. But if I am, then it's definitely full force. So with the business, you know, there's a lot that comes with that. There's a lot of work. It's endless amount of work that needs to be done. And then, of course, you know, there's the individual goals that you have for yourself or with a family, the children. So I just have an endless list of things to do. And a lot of times, how stress shows up in my life is constantly, so just thinking about all your endless list of things to do, and feeling like you're never going to be able to do all of them. So more recently, I have been practicing being present, and how I force that is, number one, when I get up in the morning, as much as I can think, oh my God, so much is happening and a lot of it is out of control, it's kind of like a prayer. I give thanks for just the opportunity to wake up, you know, so I meditate on that moment. And I think that forces me to be present in that moment. And then what I realize is if I'm forcing, it's close to meditating, but I'm not meditating like you would, which is closing your eyes and breathing. I'm not doing that. I'm really meditating on my thoughts, you know, and the thoughts are just being grateful and feeling like the universe got me, like whatever it is that I want, there's more than abundance for it. I don't have to worry so much about not like falling short, you know, so to speak. So I feel like that helps to center my day. And then, of course, the feelings of gratitude. I think it's difficult for gratitude and maybe stress to occupy the same space, at least for me. Maybe not all the time for everyone, but when I'm focusing myself on being grateful, I'm not so stressed about, you know, all the other stressors that I have. So that I noticed has worked. And the other thing that I noticed worked then is scheduling my day. So because there's so much going on and so much uncertainty, and as a business owner, because you're the boss, you could also do whatever. You could decide, let me just stay in bed all day. One thing that I am for sure is I'm a procrastinator, but ultimately I am like I chill hard. Like I can specialize in chilling, you know, like I just wanna chill. When people ask, what do you want to do today? Chill. You know, like, why do we want to plan anything else when we can chill? So that's always my thing. So I'm always fighting the urge to just chill. And because chillaxing is not going to help you build the business that you're trying to build. So, and then of course, how do you balance chilling with you know, doing work? How do you occupy both spaces at the same time? It's very difficult. But what I realize is if I have something sort of slotted for my time slots, so if I wake up every day, my morning routine is down packed right now. There's no, like for a good 4 hours, my morning routine is solid. So because I'm not having to think, because I think that's also part of it is when you leave room for, should I do this? Should I not? You know, how much effort can I devote to this? It's sort of like when you're in school, when it's math time, you go to math. When it's science class, you go to science. You know, like you automatically are just moving on to the next thing. I've noticed that forces presence into my day. And then that also limits the issue with, the issue with wanting to chillax all the time. So if you schedule everything, you know, your meetings, your downtime, the proposal time, whatever it is that you need to do, everything is scheduled. It makes it easier for me to not be so stressed out by what's happening in the future. Yeah. So that is my own version of presence. Mm-hmm. Yes. So what were you going to say? Presence.
There's a lot. So I completely agree with you with respect to setting out a list of to-dos. Like, it's hard in this world that if you're not going to strive to be the next, Buddha in yoga, where it's like, when I'm just I'm yogi, where I'm just floating around from place to place. Like, if you have a plan, there is a requirement that you have, certain steps. Like, here's what I'm gonna do. It does require you to think ahead and in the future. And so, when that is the case, and also I would say even when you're trying to improve, like when you're going through self-improvement, like one of the things that, I struggled with and I recently talked to our kids about is, a lot of times when you've done something, it's not even like something that you're not not necessarily not proud of, but something that you want to be better at. Like you screwed up, and part of the issue with staying present and letting it go is a lot of times it's like, damn, I don't want to do this anymore. Like first, it's accepting. The first part is accepting that you're human and you're flawed. You're supposed to make mistakes, and saying, okay, that's fine. That has no indication of what my value is. All right, that part, a lot of times, if you have gotten to a certain point, it's easy to rationalize. But then the other part is like, but damn, I don't want to have this happen again. And so now you've got to be thinking about how that's going to happen. I know I wrestle with that. And so part of what you want to do is to write it down, because we're creatures of habit. Your brain is set up so, like you were saying, so that it doesn't have to make decisions. Like they say, your brain takes up like 20% of the energy. It's like a small organ, but it takes 20% of your energy. All the stuff that you have to do physically, like, accounts for only 80%, and this small brain takes up 20% because it has to make decisions. And so that's why it relies on habit. It's like you don't even have to think about it. And that's another way that you want to set up. And just to talk about that tangentially, it's one ways if you want to get things done, you want to have it be like a binary decision, yes or no. Like if you have to be there thinking about it, which is why for me, and I guess for you as well, like fasting works. Like
when you're trying to control your weight.
Yeah, when you're trying to control your weight, because
you're
it's
either
like,
gonna eat or not.
You either eat or not. Like I don't have to be like,
is this how many calories?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but anyways.
And they also say, just quickly, in terms of habit, like that happens all the way to the top rank. So the president, they say, has two options in terms of what he wears every day. It's either blue suit or dark suit. Some sort of, like, they're not, and I think for us as women, we struggle so much with fashion because there's so much that goes into it, which also adds another layer of stress. So I think if you can find ways to sort of just automate your decision making. So part of what I do every day now is I'm in the same outfit every day. I'm wearing the same tights, and I'm wearing a different shirt today, but typically I wear the same shirt. And then of course, if I'm going to have a meeting, I may change out of it. But starting off in the morning, I'm not trying to
wear, so I just walk around in my boxers.
But I'm not trying to make decisions. So yeah, that's the point, is that you want to automate as much as possible so that you're reducing the brain power that you're using, because that also is part of what stresses you out and exhausts you.
Right, but what I was trying to say is, you write it down, and that way you can relieve your brain of having this sit to try to figure out how it's going to remember it. And so if you have set up a time where it's like, okay, here's what I do and here's what I'm going to do, then you get to the point where, all right, I've already said that I'm going to do this here. Now let me focus on being grateful and happy in this moment that I'm doing. And I also feel like that's why meditation is good too. Like when you breathe in, if you try it, like you really breathe in diaphragmatically, which means like you try to blow up your stomach and let your lungs expand. When you do that, you take in more breath. But like if you notice, like you stop thinking when you're doing, like when you're focusing on your breath, you stop thinking, and it forces you to stop thinking. And then I also find it's a great way to bring back positivity, because you're stop thinking about whatever it is that was bothering you, and if you're focusing on the positivity, it's a time to get it in. But there's that, and then with presence, also, I know I'm going on long, but I also think that shit, I forgot the second point I was gonna make. But
that's fine. It'll come back to you.
It'll come back. I'll bring it back.
You weren't present in the thought. That's why you forgot. You weren't present. But it only means, because all things for the good, so it only means that thought was not meant to be brought up.
Not presently.
Not presently.
In the future.
Yes. So something else that I do want to bring up that we talked to Dr. Bola and Lay about, I'm trying to see if she's on, that's why I keep looking at the thing, is rate. So
we've got Gentillectuals.
Hey, Gentillectuals.
What's up?
People are on different things, so we gotta figure out how to shout out people. But which, by the way, Gentillectuals is Alvin, our friend, has this wonderful curated list of the best gins to try from around the world.
And the cocktails that you can make with
And the
gins.
cocktails you can make with it, the materials, like you all should follow him, Gintellectuals on
GN, so it's GNtellectuals. So it's it doesn't have the I in the gin.
yeah.
But yeah,
Hey, Boomy.
if you like gin, or if you don't know if you like gin, check it out.
But gin is probably a good way
to release some stress.
self-care, release some stress.
Well, just as long as you do it in moderation.
In moderation, and
'cause,
you're not using it all the time. But
yeah.
But yeah, so I did want to talk. So something else that we talked to Dr. Volo about was parenting, because we talked about depression. So she specializes in the field of, kind of just helping parents manage, healthcare for their children, and just talking through how you can sort of best deal with a lot of the trauma that children are experiencing these days, which is leading to mental health issues. So we talked about, number one, preventative aspects of parenting before you get to having an issue with depression and all of that. And then obviously, afterwards, if there is an issue, how to deal with it. But prevention is obviously the best medicine. So you and I spoke with her about how on their children. Do you know what I mean? Huh?
Parents are the main source of
We're
stress.
the main source.
At least for until they become like teenagers.
Yeah. Usola says, can you type it on the screen? We would, but we're too far. We can't reach
But the
it.
way our arms.
Someone is calling, which is why you guys cut out.
But we can listen.
we'll type it up
grab
in
a pen. GNTELLECTUALS, and it's so interesting. The person who doesn't drink at all is asking about intellectuals.
But it's on. Her husband. Remember, Benga was saying whiskey does it for him, so she may want to gift him with something for Christmas.
I see.
But the gins are amazing, and the cocktails are great. You all definitely check out Gintellectuals because we had some fun with it this summer. But yes. Parents are the biggest reasons why their children, well, I don't know. I don't want to diagnose anyone's children. I got enough of my handful with mine. But yeah, that was something that I also have been struggling with, because I have, once again, a very specific personality. It is go. It's go time all the time. I can have fun, but when it comes to these kids, I'm ready to whip those kids into shape like they're little soldiers. And I know that it can be stressful, especially because, and we talked about the differences between parenting styles. We were brought up.
Ola and Ola just.
Oh, hi, Lola and Ola. By the way, Ola and Ola shared with me. I forget the name of the app. So apparently, there's a thing outside of Instagram that the cool kids are now on. It's called the Clubhouse. I think it's what it is.
Oh, Mickey Mouse.
Have you guys heard of the Clubhouse? Anyways, so all this shit. So apparently, it's been around. It's been floating around for some time. You've heard different celebrities on the Clubhouse. I think what's his name? Kevin Hart was recently on it when he was dragged for calling his daughter. Speaking of adding to your children's mental health issues, calling his daughter basically a prostitute. No, he didn't call her a prostitute. He said,
he's been making fun of his kids since he started. I sort of.
I watched that. Did you watch the special on Netflix?
No, I'm tired.
You're not a Kevin Hart. He's so funny.
He was funny and he's all over the place.
Yeah, Lola and Ola said it's Clubhouse, but apparently, so quickly. Everybody should go watch the Kevin Hart special on Netflix. I thought it was funny.
I mean,
and
you're
in the Netflix,
a Kevin Hart fan.
I am. I swear to God, this man has me crying all the time. I remember the first time I saw his special, I was just like, how is it possible someone is so funny? Remember I was crying? And you were looking at me like, what's going on? It's not that funny. I just thought it was so good. But in his latest special, he basically was saying his daughter, who's about like 14, is, the long and short of the joke, I'm going to mess it up. The daughter will say, oh, I like Michael today. And Kevin will like, oh yeah, Michael is great. And then Tracy's saying I'm gonna have to watch. It's hilarious. And then tomorrow she's gonna be like, no, I don't like Michael no more. I like Steve. So she did this like 3 times, and he was like, hold up, this is hoish behavior. My daughter is a hoe.
Well, that's not a prostitute.
It's not a prostitute.
She ain't getting paid.
It's not a prostitute. However, apparently, I mean, I thought it was hilarious because it's funny. I mean, it's a joke. But apparently, once again,
clearly he doesn't think it's like
no. But what black
PC
women?
police.
Well, I don't think it's PC because it's always Black Twitter who stay ready with the Twitter fingers. They stay
Black
ready.
Twitter is the PC police.
And I think what they were saying is, especially him being a black man and black women always being sort of put out there in a certain light, that it's not funny to joke about. Just like it's not funny name calling a little girl's behavior around her interest in boys, because then this is how women start to take cues about what's acceptable and what's not, and how it limits your sexual exploration, so to speak. So anyways, they definitely dragged him. Who cares? The long and short of this is he went into the clubhouse, which is how we got here, to basically kind of be called to task and speak to it.
The clubhouse is where you go and atone for your sin.
I don't know much about the clubhouse. I would be so. You know what? We should have Ola and Lola. You all should request to join. Oh God, this is gonna be complicated because we're on 3 different media.
So
but anyways, the point is, you guys should request to join though, because
they're not gonna see it on some of them.
That's true. But anyways, I would love to understand.
Maybe they'll hear it though.
Yeah, you guys request to join. We'll bring you live because I would love to, and we can always explain it to people. And then we're gonna get better with all this different social media thing.
If you try to do
But
different places.
But I got an invite because I'd heard of the clubhouse a while ago, and I remember asking. Who I actually reached out to was Tosin. Remember Tosin? She had it. And she was like, she had no invites or whatever. And there they are. And she was like, you have to be invited. So anyways, Ola finally sent me an invite. So I can't wait to go on it and understand it. But I don't get it. Go live with Ola and Lola. Yeah, so we're live with Ola and Lola on Some Days Today for those who want to go on there. But hi, guys. Oh, no, we're waiting for them to join. Hi, guys. Oh, hey, Ola. How goes it?
Ola of Ola and Lola.
How goes it?
What's going on?
What's up, man?
Good.
Good.
So tell us about Clubhouse. What is this thing?
I mean, we're just learning it too. Yeah, it's a lot going on there. There's a lot of conversation going on there. So, but as usual, we just get to create some content and put some value in there.
Interesting.
But it's interesting how like whole new social media was come up, and then we go back and start cruise again. Same thing with Twitter some years back, Facebook. So right now,
can you guys hear?
We get some traction organically. Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you. So we're on
right.
3 separate different.
Okay.
We'll translate. So you're saying that's like the hot new.
Multiple profiles, right?
I know, right? Because we're trying to figure out which one is the best one because we don't promoted this on Some Days Today and then my thing, so we never know. But you're saying Clubhouse is like the latest. What is it called? Social media
platform
that people
to have
Okay.
discussions.
Yes.
So people.
Yeah, so it's all audio drop. It's just audio.
Oh, it's all audio.
Text,
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you hear the
So
Kevin
you're
Hart?
What's that?
Did you hear the Kevin Hart situation go on there?
Yeah. Actually, I think that was one of the buzz that got me in there like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think that may have been one of the things that got me in there. But yeah, apparently at that time, even up to now, celebrities are using it as like a safe space to talk.
Mm.
But it's gotten a whole lot bigger in the last
Since the quarantine.
in the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, there's exponential growth of that platform.
So what makes it safe?
Some people have been on it for like since August, September and stuff. Was that?
So what makes it safe?
Because it was invite only.
Mm.
Like I just, even up to now, I just sent you an invite, right?
I appreciate
So
you.
if you had created you would have been on a waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what Tosin
So-
said, was that you only have a certain number of invites or something, and then or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got in, I had one invite,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was like maybe about a week ago now, and then I just got 3 invites for the first time today, which is one I thought about it, and I said I'll send one to Bola because hopefully she's not on Android anymore.
Wait, so is this only for iPhone, folks? It's only for iPhone?
Oh,
That is just-
interesting.
That is just shady.
That's why I said, Bola, are you on iPhone?
But yeah,
I have to give it to content creators and not just randoms, you know.
Oh,
People that
gotcha.
are passionate about creating content. It's a nice platform right now. You can get some organic reach right now. I'm saturated like everything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely go check it out, and then I'll see. I'm excited. We can talk about how it is when I get
explore
on.
it. It's just audio. It's addictive, so you have to, you have to control yourself because people are talking about everything from ratchet to serious, to relationship to religion.
Oh, that's how I like
Is
it.
it being
Like
recorded?
chat rooms.
Is it being recorded, or is it just you hop in if you can get in on a conversation, you hear, and then it's gone forever?
It's not default recorded, but people are starting to record their screen now. It's getting
Okay.
that popular.
Gotcha.
So, like celebrities will say things before, but now they're starting to watch their mouth because people are starting to record the screens
Yeah.
and put it out there. Which is why I think this guy thought it was the same place where he could argue. But
His
he got
point.
dragged, like Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. So did you listen to Kevin Hart's calling his daughter a hoe, and what was his point? Since I didn't hear it on.
Happiness over everything. That's what Janae Aiko said. You know what I mean?
What was the point? Because, like I said, people got angry. I didn't think there was anything to be upset about. It was a joke, but I don't know. What was the discussion about it?
that this.
Somebody's
goes
saying
into
boo
another
over there.
conversation
Yes,
entirely.
we.
I'm
Okay, they
really-
can hear us. Awesome.
Sorry, go ahead,
Say
Ola.
that again.
I'm sorry. Yeah. They can hear us on the other platform.
Okay, cool. I'm really starting. Everything needs a balance in life, right? And the idea that everyone can just have a voice, I think, is truly dangerous. As much as not having a voice is as dangerous.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, that's interesting that you say that.
Everyone
So
is sensitive right now, so it is just what it is. If you're on any kind of pedestal, you can get pulled down really quickly.
Well, yeah, but I think everyone should have a voice, no? Isn't that the reason why we all got voices?
Unless you're mute.
And unless you're mute, you
Then
got
you-
sign language, right? Like, I think everyone should have a voice. And I do think there's danger in policing what people can say. Obviously, I think if you say too much and you do get pulled down, then you may be not deserving of it necessarily, but that's the risk you take. But sometimes you've got to stand your ground and do what you believe in, right? I think I don't mind the democratization.
I think right now it's a good news that we're paying attention to the idea that everyone should have a voice. I think right now, 20 years from now, I'm not too sure that's what will be the case.
Why is that?
Because again, there's a certain level of chaos structure. People are mad. Just human beings are just mad, When I say mad, not just sense, I say like,
Crazy.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like crazy, yes. So
That's actually, I think, the original definition. Yeah, keep going.
The idea of letting them loose, right?
Yeah.
And just attacking anything they disagree with. I mean, look at this situation with trade. Everyone has a voice. Before now, there's a certain level of structure and construct to what you say because words are powerful. And if it lands on the wrong place or is said by the wrong people, it can really destroy. So the idea of just let everybody loose and just use their voice, I think it's cute now. It's 2020. I think it's okay because of where we're coming from where everybody was censoring everybody. But
Yeah.
there's a balance to everything. And now
Yeah. No, I see
Yeah.
your point. For those who are on Bolo Dina, who are
like
new.
everybody else.
No, I agree. Let me just quickly say, for those who are new to the Bolo Dina show, you should go to the Some Days Today show because we have Ola there. So he's just speaking. So you may be a little confused, but that's what's going on. I think how you figure out where the boundary is by getting your hand slapped. And I think that's okay. I think it's through the process of elimination. What is that called? Like survival of the fittest?
Yes.
And I think it's okay. I think
Yes.
because otherwise
Yes, and I agree with that.
yes, because otherwise the opposite would be censorship. And I think censorship is much more dangerous than like getting your hand slapped or whatever it is. But I also think as a society, we have to
I agree that the system can clean itself
Yes.
to a certain extent.
yes. So,
I mean that's precisely what it is doing, right? Because you do get a chance to respond. You do get a chance to say, you know what, I don't like it. You do get, so for example, you know, Kevin Hart says implies that his daughter's a hoe, and then people get outraged about it. So you can say whatever it is that you want. But I mean, in some cases, that is what people are looking for, right? Because you're going to have an audience. And I mean, one of the biggest, people who gets attention is, our soon-to-be former president. And so there's literally nothing that you can do. And from my perspective, I think it is dangerous. There's no question about it. Like certain philosophies, like if they gain in power and in acceptance, could be very bad. But I think what has to happen is that we need to be vigilant and watching and making sure that we're explaining the other side. But I don't know. I think for me, I'm really. I think we've gone overboard, and I think this is partially what people were responding to with Donald Trump. Is like I think we've gone overboard with like the extreme sensitivity. Like one of the people one comedians who gets away with it. I don't know exactly how is Dave Chappelle. He's able to say some stuff and get away with it, and I'm all cool with like I don't know I'm cool with a whole bunch of stuff that people could say. Like
I think the reason he gets away with it is
Is
because
he still able to do that?
yeah, I mean like his past couple of stand-ups, like he's been going in on transgendered and everything like that. I don't know exactly why he's able to, but I think part of it is I think they know who's vulnerable. Like I feel like Kevin Hart is so he is so like
Right now.
give me the money. Not even right now because Dave is making money. You know what I'm saying? Dave can command a nice purse. I think the issue is with Kevin Hart, he's so interested in being commercial. Like he's so interested in being like mainstream. Like he seems, and that's part of the reason. Yeah, he could be funny. His self-deprecating humor. I know you love that. But
I think the reason what's his name gets away with it, Dave Chappelle, is because he's already walked away from it once. So now the power dynamics have shifted.
yeah, he's not trying to be commercial. Like
Well,
I'm
it's not
just
even so much
doing me.
about, I don't think it's about commercial. I think it's about the fact that he's just like, white folks, I'm not here to play around. Like I'm here to do my own thing. And if y'all want it, it's going to be on my terms. And because they understand what he can command, they are willing to at the end of the day, particularly for the powers that be, and when it comes to money, it's about how much money can I make out of it. They know that he can command an audience, and he's walked away from it in the past. So now he's in a much more powerful position, whereas Kevin is scared of losing
Here's
it.
Here's the thing though. You see, when you say money, right, that follows the people, comes from people, right? And when you give people power, right, they control at the end of the day. If enough people shout and say, hey, we don't like what this guy is saying,
Right.
Netflix will kick you to the curb that quick, right?
True.
Well, I mean, you're always gonna get some. You're always gonna get your groupies.
You're always going to get goofies.
This is the reason why when you democratize, things like being able to have a voice, is that you can get your money. I mean, maybe you're not going to be Kevin Hart level, but you're always going to get your little fan base.
Exactly.
So I mean, in fact,
that's what if it's right. He cares. We're not gonna pretend like he doesn't care about that money. He
Who?
cares to a certain extent. Dave Chappelle.
No, everybody cares about money. Everybody cares about money, but I think he's made enough to the point where
I don't think he cares.
No, he cares. How's he not gonna care about money? He's
What
a
you
human
mean?
being.
He's got enough. He could
Well, that's
he
what
could
I'm
literally
saying.
stop working right now. He
Well,
doesn't
that's what
care
I'm saying.
anymore.
That's what I'm saying. He's made enough to the point.
So you should. People can push him to stop working. That's the point I'm making. Is that to a certain extent,
Mm-hmm.
not 100%, no absolutes, right? He cares. That's why he's doing the gig, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he just put his show up on Netflix or something like that.
Right, like he made them.
Those game all day long, right?
Right.
But
He his show was on Netflix from Comedy Central without his permission.
Yes, not
he
the
asked
same
him to
thing as
pull it
caring about money. The man is in the game. There's a difference between being in the game. Like, if I want to continue to do work because I enjoy it, that doesn't mean I'm going to now, curve my behavior in order to satisfy you, so I can actually be able to perform. Like, I think that there's a difference there between, okay, I enjoy doing it and I need you. Like, there is I want to and then I need to. And I think with him saying boycott me, and then Netflix decided to do it. He didn't even ask Netflix to do it. He said boycott me. All right.
Yeah.
But with him doing that, I think it's basically like a principle issue. It's like, I'm not getting paid. It's not because he needed the money.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. But I was alluding back to the point that we were making, that the system is in fact still cleaning itself.
Yeah.
That will also be bastardized to a certain point. At a certain point, not yet. It's not going to be in the next few years. I believe that people need to have more power. But when you have an example of a Trump, the people don't always know what's best for them.
Here's where
If there's always a loophole. The point I'm making here is that there's always a loophole that obviously Donald Trump is exploiting right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a loophole there. He was able to sensitize people, right? We're not saying yay or for or nay or not, right? We're just saying it is what it is. At some point, you're looking at that same thing that you want, right? But you're like, I'm not in real life. That happens in real life every day, even in individual life, right? You're like, I really want that, but I think I don't want that.
Well, yeah, but no one really knows. Just quickly to Ola's point. To be honest, though, and it's back to the point that you said earlier that I felt like I disagreed with, and now I'm coming around agreeing with it. No one really knows what they want. Like, we're all fed what we want based on our based on our values, quote unquote. Whimsicals just asked if Bola is still coming on. We hope so, but I don't know, probably not at this point.
That's a good question. Test Bola. I thought she was coming on.
No. He's talking about the other Bola.
I know.
Oh,
Dr.
okay.
Bola, yeah. Well, I don't know. To be honest, I left it up to her because I said I know it's a weekday, so we'll see if you can. But really, what we're doing is we're going through her podcast. So if you want to hear her thoughts on all of these, go listen to the episode that she was on, and I think I had the link in the episode. And really, what we're doing is sort of just reviewing it. So that we don't have her come on twice and have the same conversation. But I did ask her to come on if she had some time to do so. But no one really knows what they want. And I do have some other points that she made that I should probably get onto. But I think ultimately it's a moving bar. Like back in the 50s, people were really conservative. Back in 1910s, women wouldn't even wear bathing suit. They would wear shorts and a whole complete gown to the beach. And over time, the bar continues to be pushed. And every time we get adjusted to what the new norm is. So I don't know necessarily that we know what we want, quote unquote, and it's always like a solid static thing.
Best thing for us.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of the input that we take from society, and then we decide whether or not it sits well with us and whatever our value system happens to be.
And to that point, like I wasn't sure exactly what my thoughts were on whether or not it was a bad thing or a good thing, but like after like thinking about it, I think it's definitely it's not necessarily bad or good. It's shifting, and I don't think it's going to have the impact that you necessarily think. I think what happens when it does get saturated, when it does get like a whole bunch of people, which is starting to happen, right? Everybody has their own thing. You have to get to a certain, like, then everybody's gonna be like, it's gonna be like the norm anyway. It's gonna be like the town square. If every person is screaming, nobody is going to be heard and nobody's gonna care. You have to be speaking about something that matters enough to enough people before that person rises to a level where they can garner enough influence. And if that person has the influence and it's potentially bad, and what's bad is, obviously dependent on, what can happen. Maybe if it causes violence, maybe, I don't know if there is something that is objectively bad. Probably there is, if you're killing people, for example, if you're hating on a group, for example, those good things. I think what, for example, happened with Donald Trump is that he is speaking to certain concerns and needs of a group of people that need to be addressed in some way. And so, like, just the fact that that person actually has gotten some influence doesn't mean that this wasn't some underlying issue that exists. It just now found a voice.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
70 million people strong.
That's half the country. That's half the country of those. That's half the voting pool of the people who voted anyway. So it's not a foregone conclusion that the way you see the world is the right way. You know what I mean? Not to say that it's not, but we all have perspectives and motivations for why we see the world for the way we see it. But all I did want to ask you, speaking of Dr. Bola, because we did start this with mental health, part of how do you parent your children with little, while leaving very little footprint on their mental disturbance? So how are you? Is that something you're sensitive to? Are you when you're talking to your children? Because once again, as Nigerians, we think about how we were brought up, and a lot of us were brought up by people who didn't necessarily pay too much attention to our mental state. We just had to fall in line. So, but we also know that may not always be the best thing for your mental health. So I just wonder, given the society we're living in, is this something you and Lola think about when you are parenting your children? And how does that show up in the adjustments that you're making for it? Mm-hmm.
Is he frozen?
Right, so we have our two different styles. She's more. Can you hear me?
You're freezing.
You're freezing up.
Let's make sure you can hear me first before I continue.
Okay, now we can.
Is it better now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
You sound like a robot, but
Now we can, but
I did, right? Let me go closer to them. Let's see. How about now?
It's almost as if the Trump people were listening, and they've decided to
what happens when you get so much
your
influence?
Wi-Fi. Okay, while we wait for Ola, what about you, Meg?
So I definitely think. So I definitely think about.
Yeah, well, we can hear you now.
Right?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
It depends.
Okay, yeah, I have to switch it to. I don't know. Sorry about that. So let's make sure you can hear me. You can hear me again, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So your faces are frozen, but that's okay as long as you can hear me.
We can hear you.
We have our different styles, right? Lola and I have two different styles on how we deal with the kids or communicate with the kids. I think the more important thing is what you said earlier, the awareness. Just the awareness. Just know, and we try to apply that because we also bring ourselves to the table. Obviously, our energy is at play when we're communicating with them or we're trying to correct or help them or educate them, right? So our energy is also at play. Our energy comes from a very for me, it comes from 41 years. For her, it comes from like 39 years. That's just who we are. We're aware of that. Just the awareness is a long. It's so far from where our parents came from in terms of how they train kids, right? Up to today, any one of our parents, of our foreparents, if we talk to them about certain ways of training child, they have different ideas of what that looks like. What I see that's really, really different, and it's a good thing, is just be aware that how you communicate with your kids does have an impact on them long term. I think what they learn from, for the most part, though, is what we do. We say what we say, but them watching us do what we do is much more what they learn from. That's what shapes. That's part of the thing that shapes their outcome. But of course, they have like my two boys, and the baby girl is still a baby. They have their stuff like that. So we try to apply some wisdom when it comes to their different styles. Their difference in personality, being a little bit more patient than our parents would normally be, listening to what they have to say, knowing when listening is not effective anymore, where I should just tell him what to do, right? So those are some of the different dynamics. But to your point, it's quite different. But really, it starts from just be aware. Just be aware that it has an impact on their mental, and because of I won't say, because I know people that still feel like what our parents did was the best. People like our age range, like normal people like me and you. Right? So I know people like that, and but I think we are like a whole step ahead of them, honestly, because these kids. Especially like what my kids know at their age right now. Tomi is 12 years old, Tony is 10. I didn't know half of what they know right now. So that's another level of things to pay attention to. Like they're not necessarily operating like us.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And just quickly, for anyone who's on Bola Ladina, and wondering where the voice is coming from, you guys should go on Some Days Today live, because we have Ola from Lola and Ola here chatting with us. Apologies about that, but yeah, I agree with you. I think I think that's also what I have to remind myself is that basically what you said, the amount of distractions that these kids are having to deal with, the amount of information that they're having to process, the level at which they're having to perform. I mean, there's just so much going on. Once again, for all, I see people just joining Bola Odina. Apology about that. Please join Some Days Today, because that's where we're having a conversation with Ola of Lola and Ola. That's such a tongue twister. Lola and Ola. I wonder why you didn't put the Ola first. I appreciate the deference to the woman. I appreciate that, but it is a tongue twister because I'm used to thinking Ola and Lola, not Lola and Ola. But that's a thinking man right there. Ladies first, I like it. But I agree with you, because to expect that our children will be doing the same things we were doing, or should be performing the same way we were performing, is really just inconsiderate even of all the things that they're having to do and process, even in quarantine, being able to still deliver, school-wise, socially, and all the other stuff that they're doing, given the extreme circumstances.
There's a white man behind you with a beard. It looks like
that's a bobblehead.
That's how props for him, dude. She does my haircut.
Oh, gotcha. But I see your point in that it's a whole different time that these kids are living in, but at the same time, we only have our own rearing as our point of reference. So there's a huge gap, and I think no matter what, it's almost as if there's no winning in that way, because you can only train from the perspective that you understand. Even however whatever the awareness that you're still bringing in, you're still going to be at a deficit, because we don't know what they're going through in this age. So we're constantly having, or if you are mindful, you're trying to account for it, but you're also accounting for the fact that children are by nature children. They don't want to do, you've got to drag them, you know what I mean? So it's just so much at play. But ultimately, I keep saying, I think if you put love at the center, you know, if I can just figure out a way to love you and also treat you as I would want to be treated, hopefully that can come out somehow with something good. But I know it's tough. It's difficult. And Mac and I have very different parenting styles. So that makes it even more difficult, because we have different backgrounds, different things that we grew up with. But we're both very sensitive to not leaving too much of a footprint on their mental health, you know, which is a very difficult thing. So,
well, I mean, so to answer the question, for me, there's no way you're going to not leave a footprint. And so I agree with you that I think I agree with the both of you. First, awareness, because in you know, a willingness to try to learn and grow and to do as good of a job as you can. And then I also think, like, putting love at the center. I think kids will know that if you are an abusive person, you're an alcoholic, if you're a person who is, you know, trying to make yourself feel better by, you know, taking out your frustrations on your kids, they'll eventually know that. I remember, just recently, Lauryn Hill's daughter, I don't know if you guys heard about this story, but she had commented on how she felt like her mother, when she was raising them, was always so angry, and you know, they were getting spanked and whatever the case may be. And, you know, she was going through some stuff at the time, and that can happen. So, you know, you talked about also being at work and not being happy with corporate America. And a lot of times when you come off of corporate America, you can come home and you're frustrated, and these things happen too. But I think, you know, kids ultimately know, like when you talk about, like, you know, your parents and how they raised you and all that stuff. As a Nigerian, I'm a Haitian, and I feel like, you know, there's a lot of similarities in the ways that we were raised, in the strictness and in the corporal punishment, getting beatings and all that good stuff. And so, you know, like you said, a lot of people still look at that and think, hey, I was able to raise a good kid. And so, you know, it seems like it works. And I think the reason that they were able to say that is because they knew that their parents were trying to do something good. Like, this is what they knew, and they were trying to do something good with it. But there's no way, like, you know, there's no way in the world you're going to come off and not have an impact, whether intended or unintended, whether they're watching what you're doing.
But that's just life.
Yeah, and so that's what makes everybody unique. And so from my perspective, the what I focus on in terms of, like, imparting is, you know, certain important lessons, like being resilient, you know, because the fact is, like, there are people who came from abusive backgrounds and still made it big, and they use that as a fuel. So you can't go in and be like, you're doing this and you're leaving a footprint on your kids, and not say ultimately the responsibility is on every human being anyway. So you do your best, and your kids are expected to understand that the responsibility for their lives is on them.
It's on them.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I look at these things, right? You know, life is just life. Some things are just is. But there's some things that we know. And when we know, we do better. Right? That's how I look at this whole thing. And the rest of it, we leave it to God or whatever you want, you know. But we can control some things. Some things we can't control. And the way to make the most out of life, and with respect to what we're talking about right now, raising your kids, is to lead. I 100% believe in leading with love. 100% of the time. Because leading with love means you're also paying attention to the other end of that relationship that's being displayed in whatever you're trying to do, right? You're also paying attention to, like, a child did something wrong. Instead of me getting angry, how about I take a deep breath? What made you process whatever you process in your brain to get you to the point that this was the right decision to make? The the level of patience that goes with that, we can't underestimate how big it is, especially if you're raised the way we were raised,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because your natural instinct is to beat on the baby,
Mm-hmm.
and all you're doing is displaying your anger. Now, some kids will make it out of that good. We did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some, that's a big deal. It's also a big deal in the sense of they think they should beat their kids because, again, the kids learn from your actions,
Yeah.
ultimately, right? So, I personally, I don't believe in beating on kids. I believe 100% leading with love. I believe that your relationship with your child is one of the relationships that you have to nurture, and that's your responsibility, your side of it. And then all you can do is until they're adults. Once they're adults, they are in fact walking away with a lot
I don't mind
from
beating
you
them.
and how you raised them.
I don't mind beating them.
You say
Like-
that, but you don't beat your children.
I have in the
That's a
past.
good point, Bola.
Huh?
I
That's a
have.
good point.
I have.
That's a good point. A lot of them that says, I don't mind beating my kids, they don't beat their kids.
Yeah. So.
Huh? Oh no, definitely not definitely like our parents did. But here's the thing: what I mean by this, and I was reading Matthew McConaughey's book, and he said this, and when he said this, I was like, that's exactly what I was saying. He's like, my parents, they beat their kids. Like, he really likes his parents. You know what I'm saying? He's like, we are the kind of family our parents beat their kids, and the reason he did this was because they didn't want to take away one of the most precious resources that anybody has, and that's time. If I'm sitting here, got you holding the wall, or you going into your room or whatever, I'm like, you could be doing this, like you could be doing all this stuff. All I gotta do is show you that there's a punishment. There's a consequence to what you did. Moving on, go do whatever else is there for you to do. That doesn't mean I'm going to now leave marks on your body, but I'm going to give you some kind of punishment and then keep it moving. Like, I'm okay with, no.
But once again, I say that you don't really beat your children.
What you mean? Like, what you mean? Like, I've beat them in the past. What you mean?
You know, Mac, I can probably count on one hand how many times he's beaten all the children together. So,
And we have to, unfortunately, man.
Oh, you're not always around.
I'm not. You're beating them when I'm not around.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I'm just waiting until you go. So
But I'm only saying that because you may say you don't mind beating them, but there's something in your subconscious probably that
It's a
rejects
subconscious
that rejects it, or
It's a
that
subconscious thing. I don't expect you to admit it.
Yeah.
I promise you. But like, I mean, at a certain age, it's like, okay, this is a conversation. But like, I mean, I feel like, before they get to a certain age, I'm not gonna sit here and let's sit down and have a conversation. No, I'm just gonna consequence. Let's move on. Do what you need to do, and that's it.
So
And it's like we're talking about hand slaps. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you guys a question now, right? Consequences or assault? Do you think beating your kids is an assault?
No. I mean,
Well, once
depends.
again,
I guess
like
it depends.
So you just clarified how you beat your children. You said a hand slap, and this is
For the most part,
when
but
they
I-
were younger.
I've
This is
slapped-
like when they were like 2-3 years old. You may give them a
That's
hand
not
slap.
beating.
I've
That's
slapped
not
butts.
beating.
I've slapped butts.
So once again,
I spank my kids too. Tifa gets some spanking because she's a baby, and sometimes spanking her a little bit on the thigh is the way she's gonna hear what I'm trying to
just
say.
to quick,
no,
it's like
stop.
that fire.
Right?
Don't touch that fire type
But
of thing.
once they
Yeah.
can talk, right? We're just gonna do the talking. We're gonna do talking. We're gonna do pain, pleasure. No assault, no physical assault. Pain, pleasure, consequences. That comes from consequences. There are
Wait,
things that
where's
we
the
care
pain come
about.
from?
Huh?
Where's the pain come from?
If you take my baby's PS5 away from that, it's painful.
But how's that different from consequences? Is that the same as
That's what I'm
consequences?
saying. I said pain and pleasure that comes from consequences.
Okay, gotcha.
It's
So
what I use. That's
Okay.
what I use, and it works because, like right now, like Tumi was playing a bit too much games. I said, hey, you want to play more games? You do more. You do about.
Did you
5
just
hours
say
of
PS5?
learning. Yeah, I don't know the games. Whatever.
Oh, I was like, you got a PS5? You don't be throwing this around like that. Everybody wants a PS5.
No, I think it's Nintendo Switch now. I think that's the thing now.
I'm like, yo, we need to travel.
I've never been the game of type, you know.
Yeah.
So when I say, hey, you want to play a little bit, like you will play like 7 hours on Saturday, I was like, no, bro. That's too long. Take some break. By the way, me telling him to take some break doesn't necessarily mean it's bad for him what he was doing. That's actually me being me from my parental days. It just irks me for him to be playing that long. There's no real reason for me to tell him not to play that long. That's me telling him. That's my awareness.
That's not me. I have a reason. I don't think
you be watching them. I think you just said this recently. They walk by. It's like, wait a minute, why you ain't doing nothing? Don't do this one over there. Like what?
Exactly.
Like let them chill.
Subconscious. Yep, that's all subconscious. So what I did is like more hours of playing games. You have to basically do time for learning. 14 hours. There's this thing I subscribe to that they learn online. It's like extra educational stuff, right? Like you do 14 hours of time for learning. You earn 7 hours of game, right? So for every 2 hours you do in time for learning, you earn 1 hour of game. So they don't like time for learning like that. That's not their favorite thing to do. So again, but they understand the idea of in life you have to earn in terms of the enjoyment you're gonna, there's work and there's play.
Everything is earned.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Everything is earned. I'll also take time to really explain to them hard, right? Sometimes the time I want them to have good work ethics because this life. Honestly, just reward good work ethics. That's just the bottom line,
Yeah.
So those are much more, in my opinion, better lessons for the babies to learn than learning that I will beat you up if I see you there. Like there's no lessons in that. The only thing I'm creating is making them to a certain extent. They have a certain level of fear when I enter the room. Especially my little boy Tony. He wants to be proper. He wants everything he doesn't like to disappoint at all. So, and I've noticed that, and to me it's a little bit on the extreme opposite side of that. He's like, they'll be all right, That's more of his attitude.
Tommy's the younger one?
I had to. Tommy is the older one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
usually the opposite.
So Tony is like, if you said this yellow thing should be here, he's gonna call you out if you move it a little bit beyond that in the field. But you said, right? That's his personality, right? So we had to pay attention to those things because that also affects the result you're gonna get from training them, right?
Yeah.
The one that is extremely adventurous, you have to like check him and say, no, you can't go past that. The one that's a bit too uptight, so it's okay, Tony, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's a balance.
And then teach them the balance too.
Yeah.
Then teach them the balance too. So it's a big conversation, honestly, that we will never finish. But I think it's much more important for us to be aware of ourselves, what we bring to the table when we're trying to train our kids. And these kids are smarter than us. Let's just be frank.
Yes. No, they are. They are. No doubt.
They are wiser than us. I said they are smarter than us.
Smarter than us, maybe even wiser. Their ability to compute information. There's a game. Have you heard of Among Us? Do you see them? Have you heard of Among Us?
Here we go with the
Among Us is like this video. It's a video game, right? I don't know.
It's a video app game.
It's a video app game that they play.
It's yes.
And
your kids probably know about it. It's a murder mystery.
They know about it.
Yeah.
They know about it. They're on TikTok too. They're on TikTok.
They do everything. So these kids.
The other day, Tony cried after we were supposed to be in bed. He came downstairs crying, talking about some random. He thought he left a message, he left a comment on there, and then he had actually already deleted. But there was an argument of you knew something, I didn't know something. It was like a complete, and it was crying, and it was completely weird to me. And this is a faceless profile on TikTok, but he was so concerned that he was in an argument.
Wow.
He felt bad. I'm like,
yeah.
So now the Nigerian me was like, get your butt to bed fast, you know, that's the Nigerian me, right? And then my being aware of me is like, okay, Tony, come on, man, you can't be crying about that. We don't know this person. This is a faceless profile.
Yeah.
Like, how much can that matter to you, right?
Yeah.
So it's about finding that balance, like everything else in our lives, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Wait,
the
let
thing.
me just quickly say, there's a couple of people that I'm seeing on Bola's profile. please go to Some Days Today. It's probably easier for you to see who's talking. Apologies about that. We're gonna get it together.
We got it together. We're on 3 different things.
But anyways, go ahead and quickly say, because I do want to ask my last question so we can wrap this up, because I know people got dinner. But what were you gonna say?
I mean, I was just gonna comment, like, again, with respect to what actually works. Yes, it's different for the child, and I don't know exactly what works, but I can say this, that sometimes you do need tough love. Like, why the hell are you crying, bro? I mean, sometimes that's what's like. Sometimes that makes you tougher. And from my perspective, what I would want more than, and I feel like you probably have that philosophy, but more on work that needs to be done. I probably have that philosophy on stuff like crying, you know, where it's like, or, you know, like, you're gonna be dealing with problems in life. Like, if I'm going to sit here and be like, okay, you can go in and whine about it, then, you know, how does that make you a stronger person? Like, I need to be like, no, toughen up. Like,
I think it's individual, I guess is what I'm going to say. I don't think there's a standard answer for all of it. And just like Ola said, you may have 2 children who need different types of pressure applied. You know, somebody may need a bit more or whatever. So yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a one size fits all solution. But tough love, I do think, and this is what I'm also learning.
The only one size fits all is.
What? We missed that.
Go ahead.
We missed the one size fits all. You said the only one size fits all is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay. The only one size fits all in all of this is what we said earlier, love, right?
Yes.
Whatever tools we have, even for our personal relationships, we need to use it with our children. Those are the only one size fits all. There's some core principles in all those. We need to apply it because our kids also are going to use that in the relationships they're going to be creating around the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the more important thing. If we do the military style thing, which our parents did, you're also training to a certain level your kids that that's the right way to get their point across in this world. The world doesn't work like that. You know, we're just talking about people having a voice, right? We're also teaching them to have a voice, to speak up, to sorosoke, like the Nigerian people would say, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's actually data collection. That's how you can best help them. That's how they can best help the rest of the world or bring value to the world, right? These are things that I learned when people are kids. Not, you know, most people will never learn this. Like all this relationship stuff that we talk about, right? You know, most adults will never learn this stuff. You know that, right?
Yeah, because they're set in their ways. And even us, we're set in our ways. So even some of these lessons are very difficult. I know that I'm having to learn the same things over and over and over, but just different variations of it, because a different setting will provide a different example of it. So yeah, it's hard because a lot of it is hardwired into you, and those are part of what also makes up your value structure and your system. So now you're having to, in asking yourself to change, you're having to question your value system. Like, this is what I anchor my beliefs around. So if that's not secure, then what really is secure? You know what I mean? So I think that's also, I mean, it's all a part of the struggle. Because, and then part of your value system is what defines, that's where your identity comes from. You know, that's what you... So if you can't even have faith in who you are as a person, it's all going to shit at this point. So I think that's what makes it difficult for a lot of us. Yeah, so it's understandable. Yeah. Yeah. But my last question to you, Ola, and I appreciate you coming on. I'm such impromptu. Look at you dropping nuggets. I can't wait till we collaborate on, what is it called in? Clubhouse. Yes.
Clubhouse, right?
Yes.
I just got off Clubhouse and I was like, let me check out what's going on up here.
That's nice.
I wanted to reply some people, but yeah. But yeah, I saw you guys posting in the afternoon that I meant to come on as well.
Yeah.
To come hear what Bola had to say, or Dr. Bola, like you guys call.
I know. We're gonna have to. I'll let her know that everybody was asking about her, so maybe we'll do a part 2. Because we actually, did you listen to her episode? It was actually really good.
I did with all them English for now and stuff.
Oh, was there? What do you mean? You mean she did or we did?
What's
I
from
guess
there?
after that, I was like, all this Oyinbo.
Oh yeah, meaning big English or English accent or what have you. But
The accent, oh my God, she was flexing and dulling and.
I mean,
talking and-
respect her. What did Dr. Jill Biden say? Or somebody said you're gonna have to respect the doctor or something. You know, that's basically she earned it.
Yeah.
She earned it. So
But it was a good session. Because some of these things I like to tone them down to regular everyday language, like this relationship, nurturing relationship stuff, right?
Yes.
Because I feel like a lot of people go, but she brought a different perspective. She brought the expertise, the terminologies that those things meant in those words. You know,
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that episode actually.
yeah. And it was good because once again it's coming from a medical professional. So just seeing the flexibility
Yes.
even in within the medical space that there isn't like one standard way of dealing with any of these
Exactly.
issues. It's about what makes sense
Yeah.
and what's right. But yeah, I agree. So my question is, especially given the time of the year that we're in, how do you prioritize your mental health? You know, the holidays for me, I know can be very stressful. Every year, I'm upset about the holidays. I can't believe we're still doing these gift giving situation. Last minute, I'm running around trying to buy presents. I'm stressing myself out. And then ultimately, I remember last year we bought a bunch of gifts for the kids, and collectively, hey Edna, by the way, anyone who's on Bolo Dina, y'all should go to Some Days Today because that's where our guest is on. So we apologize about that. I keep saying that, but anyways,
Why you?
yeah. So for me, I'm always kind of just struggling with this time of the year because it's so pressure packed. And I remember, regardless of how hard you try, last year, was it last year or 2 years ago, we were all at my brother's house, Kunle's house. So his kids, my kids, everybody woke up and we gave them gifts. And the pictures we have are so funny from that year because all of them looked so disgusted.
Wasn't it the year where we
Maybe
got
it was.
them books?
Maybe it was the year before. We got them books,
Books.
and
Because of the gifts?
and clothes.
They're
Who
like,
knows?
books.
They were so annoyed.
I can't wear books.
Everybody
I
was
can't
so
eat this.
disappointed. You said why? I guess we didn't get. I guess we didn't get what they wanted. I don't know. The point is we can't make it work. So I feel like this time of the year is particularly challenging because it's almost as if you put forth so much energy and the reward on the other end is not always great. Like you put forth so much energy to try to show, I don't even know what we're trying to do anymore. Because if it's about the love and the care, then really anything should be satisfactory, right? It should be about the time spent together. The whole point is I find this time of the year to be very challenging and it's draining financially, time-wise, emotional-wise. I find it to be exhausting, but we can't seem to get out of here and there's so much stress and pressure associated with it. Anyways, I'm just asking, how do you protect your mental health during this time of the year? Do you feel any pressure?
All right. So funny enough, that just happened today.
Oh,
And she came to me, reminding me what time of the year it is.
It's
I
beginning.
had until today that, in fact, Christmas is next week.
yeah, it's crazy.
And when she came to me, told me, and I hear that, usually my brain goes to, I just need to know how much it is, and then I'll get over that stress instantly, whatever how much it is, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll move on, right? And then she was about to elaborate and tell me step by step why she needs the amount of money. I was like, don't do that to me. Just tell me
How much is it?
That's a lot less stressful for me. And then we'll get you that money. God will figure it out, right? And then I can move on with myself into 2021. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm already in 2021 and I don't want to deal. So how I protect myself is I just worry about the money. All the in-betweens, I'm not interested in. in terms of gift, right? Maybe 2 days, 3 days before I want to give my wife something, right? But that's not that much of a big deal. You see, everybody else, and wherever hopefully she won't miss out to anybody or anything like that. That's how I protect myself. If you want to punish me, right, take me through the mall. I can count the number of times I've been to Woodbridge Mall or Menlo Park Mall. I go through Menlo Park Mall, Bola. I just remember the good old days, 1998, 1999. It makes me feel like I just came back from Nigeria because that's the memory that comes back to me. Because back then we were in Menlo, and when I go to that mall, I worked at Macy's at that time. Every single time I go through there, that's how much I don't go to the mall.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a stressful thing to me.
Yes.
So I don't think it's much of me protecting myself or anything like that. By default, that's not my thing at all.
Mm-hmm. So you choose to not. So you choose to not partake to protect your mental state, mental health.
No. I found like whatever you just pointed at as part of the stress. I don't engage in that. I don't engage in the shopping part of it.
Gotcha.
The giving gift or picking the gift. I don't engage in that. I even Amazon stresses me out if I'm looking for something.
Yeah.
Even online.
Yeah.
So I don't have much stress, particularly for Christmas time. It's like any day, like any other day, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear you. A lot of people talk about that.
Yeah.
Stressful.
Yeah.
It's just not my reality either.
Gotcha. So that's good. So that means Lola handles. So she sort of buffers. She probably doesn't see the shopping and all figuring out all of that part as stressful. So she provides a buffer for you.
She's the one who gets that stress.
Oh, so she's stressed out. Okay. I just thought maybe she enjoyed
she
it.
gets that.
So the stress is passed on to her. Gotcha. Because I think Mac and I, or probably I'm like you, Ola, shopping is probably, I actually think I hate shopping more than you do, Mac. I don't enjoy any aspect of it whatsoever. The minute I think about going to the mall, I'm already stressed out thinking about it. When I show up to the mall, I'm thinking, when can I leave? How can I get out of here ASAP? Because the stress,
right now.
the stress is overwhelming. I don't even enjoy going grocery shopping because it's just too much information overload. So there must be some sensory aspect to it, if you're paying attention to yourself, that is impacting me at least. So I don't enjoy it, but I don't know that I have anyone to pass on, quote unquote, the responsibility, because I'm going to call it that at this point. It's going to have to be a responsibility until we change the nature of what happens during the holidays here. So because there's no one for me to pass it on to, now it's a shared sort of responsibility. Now we're undertaking it, and it's very stressful. I don't enjoy it. I don't think you enjoy it either. So yeah, but anyways, I think a lot of people go through this. Once again, for those who are in Bola Odina, please go to Sunday is Today, because you'll see that's where we're really having the conversation.
I wanted to hear if Mark's take on the stress from
Man's
Christmas.
Let me see. I mean, so from my perspective, I don't. I'm trying to see whether, because on the one hand, I don't stress myself out too much. On the other hand, like, the way I feel about it is, like, Bola is usually the one who is trying to make sure things get done or whatever. Like, I'm more like whatever Bola wants to do, I think. Like, because for the most part, a lot of times we're traveling to New Jersey. Like, you know, and then we decide whether or not, like, if Bola wants to do it, she does it. Like, I don't think I stress myself too much over, at least not the shopping piece of it. Like, we're always last minute, and I don't, you know, it's not an important enough thing for me necessarily that I will, do I want it? Definitely the finance part is always a concern because I need to make sure everything is, we have it, because, like, you know, as providers in our minds, like, we have to think about not just what is happening now, but, like, how is it going to cascade a couple of months down, with all the other obligations that are out there. So it's definitely something that I constantly think about when Christmas comes. This is when I know that it's going to be multiplied, and so I don't. That's definitely a stressful part. But like I said, I mean, from my perspective, it's like I'm fine one way or another. Like it's not a thing that I care so much about, as long as because literally if it was just, and this is the thing, like when we talk about going shopping and why are we still doing this, like I heard, I don't remember where it was, but like there was this person who was dating another family, and I don't remember if it was, it had to be Christmas because they were giving gifts to everybody else, but like whereas
dating another family,
another person from obviously from another family, but it was just like what,
that's a busy man dating a whole family.
It happens. Have you seen that guy? I forget his name, who has like 7 baby mamas. He's marrying all of them. That the Femi had posted it on our WhatsApp group.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
That's a Pretty Mike of Lagos.
Pretty Mike of Lagos. You guys saw that.
Pretty
Man
Mike.
had 7 pregnant women. He's about to marry all of them. Kid, come on.
So wait.
It was beautiful.
7 women all pregnant at the same time?
Yes.
Shit, that's impressive.
He was parading each one of them. Big bellies, happy.
This man impregnated 7 women at the same time.
Yes.
I mean, that's some skills. Is that not some skills? I'm impressed. I feel like that's worthy of marriage, honestly. If you can impregnate 7 women all at the same time.
You don't think he can, it's not that hard.
Shit, there's some timing to it, though.
There's
no timing component to it. First of all, if you impregnate 7 women at the same time, you've got to be sleeping with at least 14 women. No?
Not necessarily.
Math-wise? Anyways, the point is props. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, but what was I saying? Yeah. So I don't remember. But okay. So anyways, what he was the guy who was dating a woman, and he had what I meant is that his tradition was different than her family's tradition, and they were gifting each other, and he went with the traditional like lavish gift or whatever, but theirs was like thoughtful stuff. Like, now, I don't know if it was a book or anything like that, but it could have, one of them might have been a book, but it's things that didn't necessarily take money. It was like thoughtful stuff. So it's about also how you treat it, and I just say that because for me, I would be just as fine just being here with the 5 of us and chilling. I would be just as happy taking a trip. Like 2 years ago, we went to Cuba.
Why don't you guys do that?
That's what I'm saying. I think there's this. It's sort of at every other time. I can be pretty independent any other time of the year, but when it comes to Christmas,
You like your me time? You don't like your me time, right?
oh no, I'm all about me. I chill. My middle name is chill. I'm ain't nothing else but my me time. That's what I want. Is me time all the time. And it's actually because I am so selfish about my me time that I think during the holidays I feel so obligated to give in such unnatural ways. And it's not even so much about the money, because that doesn't stress me out. It's about
the money. Yeah.
It's about the fact that there's just so much to it, and ultimately you don't get it right. That's the point here. I feel like
I don't know if we don't always. I think there are times when they're happy, especially
Well,
when they're
there may
like,
be
"Here's a
times-
whole list that I
but
want."
it's
And
not
get the list.
it's not a universal happiness across the board. There's my mom, there's my dad, there are the children, there are the nieces and the nephews and the sisters and the sister. It's a lot going on, and because I'm just not naturally like my love language is time spent. Like, I actually value quality time with people.
Not
So
quality time?
my love language is quality time. So I actually I'm not a gift person. I don't enjoy, not that I don't enjoy gifts, but I want to say I don't demand it. I don't
Like, it's not that serious.
not at all. It's not even, is it not that serious? It's not top of mind. If you give me a gift, I would actually be very touched about it, because I'm like, wow, interesting.
Right,
because
like the farthest thing from your brain.
yeah, because I'm not expecting it. I'm not thinking it. I don't remember the last time, I don't want to put your business out there, Meg, that, like I got a gift per se, but it's not because you're not willing to give me a gift. I mean, like around Christmas or anything. It's not because you're not willing to give me. It's just not. I don't. If I want something, I can get it for myself.
You just
That's
put my
pretty
business
much.
in.
I know, my bad.
When was the last time you gave me a gift? Is it just me?
You're right, and that's why I don't give you gifts as well. But I feel like
You get her every day.
when you know what, Ola, let us just marinate on this. Let you brownie point. Megan's look at his face. That is a point. I in and of itself I'm a gift. But my point is though that I'm just not thinking like gifts don't occur to me like that, and because of that, I don't plan for it until the last minute, and there's just so many layers to it, and I feel like I ultimately don't get it right because the people who are naturally occupying that space, that whose love language is that, they're tuned into it to the point where they know how to give you great gifts. So your gift in comparison is always going to pale, next to theirs because it's always off. It's always just not enough, And then when I'm trying to step up, I just never really feel like I do it well because that's just not naturally what I do. Now, when Max said the people that you talked about giving thoughtful gifts, I'm much more of a I prefer, if you want to give me a gift, you can just write me a letter. Like a letter.
I have a problem.
I got an 8
Even
o'clock.
the word objective word, like thoughtful, like who gets to judge if what I gave you is thoughtful or not? Now,
You do.
now I'm at your mercy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it thoughtful means you know what the heck they
The person wants.
appreciate. You know what they were have been like. That's why you put some thought into it. It's not just and it's not just like your random. I'm gonna get you the PS5. Although that could be thoughtful.
Let me get this right. So let me get this right, Mac. So it's already stressful that it's Christmas time. I have to buy a gift, not right?
You're cutting off.
They-
You're cutting off.
I cut off. Oh,
Yeah.
I cut off.
Yeah.
I said, can you so buying gift, right? During Christmas time. Now, I have to have another additional stress of figuring out what they like.
I think that's what makes it stressful because everybody's love language is different. And for those whose gift, whose love language is in the area of gift giving, they know what a shitty gift is. Not a shitty gift. Well, it depends on. Let me take.
I hear you.
Let me take that back. Not a shitty gift per se. They know what will mean something to them. It doesn't necessarily even have to be monetarily tied up together. It's just trying to figure out who is this person and what does this person want. But for someone like me, I probably err on the side of buying something maybe even more expensive than that's less thoughtful, just because I can buy the same thing for like 10 people. I mean, go there and be like, everybody gets this, and I haven't put too much thought into it, but I would rather just get it over with, and I want to be able to show up with something, right? So the point is, this is an area that in all the other part of my life, I haven't figured out how to be my most authentic self because the pressures of society creeps in and I end up.
What does it water it down if we say, hey, what would you like for Christmas? If you ask that person, what would you like for Christmas?
Yes, it waters it down.
I don't agree that it
Yes.
waters it down.
If you're talking about thoughtfulness, then I think it waters it down because what's the thought?
I don't know if it waters.
How are you being thoughtful? You're just giving me In fact, if you ask somebody, they may say something, and then you may come up with something that's even more thoughtful. Like I don't know, one of the things I know Will Smith did. Well, I can't really remember what it was.
For Jada's 40th birthday.
I think it was like getting like a film of something that was old, that she had.
He just went over the top with the birthday celebration and all of that.
He went over the top with it, but some of the stuff in there was really thoughtful. And that was the one that he did, where he went Jada's a jerk as far as I'm concerned. The man did his freaking thing. Yeah,
and she didn't appreciate it because that's not what she wanted.
She wanted August Alsina. That's what she wanted. I mean, you can't satisfy a person like that. I mean, what you can't satisfy a person like that. The man did his thing.
This has taken a left turn that was unexpected. What does that
talk about? I haven't been happy for so long. I mean, how can I like literally? If you go back and watch, or I don't know where the hell I saw what he did for his 40th. Like he did some over the top stuff, but that one thing where he went out, that was the definition of thoughtfulness. And
maybe it wasn't for her.
There's nothing that you could do to satisfy this woman.
I thought the gift get to George was not the reason for not. No,
we didn't hear you. You were cutting out.
I'm gonna need you to call Fios.
I know. I may have to do that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The people that get to judge what's thoughtful or not is the receiver of the gift. No,
I agree. Yes, I agree, and I think
I promise you there was nothing that this man could have done with this. Like there's no such thing as thoughtful to a person like that.
You don't know Jada, so we don't. None of us know Jada or the inner workings of her relationship. It may be coming across as if she is being unreasonable, but we don't know the inner workings of their relationship. That was actually an interesting.
I think I knew everything that I needed to know after August Alsina came up with the situation. Shit, what did she call it?
Entanglement.
I had everything I needed.
I would be curious to discuss your thoughts on. I don't think we've talked about the whole entanglement situation. We should save that for another conversation because I just thought
we probably should.
Yes.
We probably should. It depends on what that conversation has like multiple. Yeah. It does. Ultimately, relationships, judgments out the window. Judgments don't work in relationships. Anything goes. You know what they say about in love and war, right?
All is fair in love and war. I agree. Well, I don't know if all is fair in love and war, especially war.
That's what they say.
But that is what they say. I think love should always lead. Love should always lead. If there's one thing we're going to take away from some days today, I just think that makes you a much happier person. It doesn't matter what's even coming to you. I think you put yourself at war when you are engaging in the nastiness, even no matter how dirty and nasty someone else gets. But that's my perspective. And that's also because psychically, I can't handle, I can only handle so much. So I need to be able to protect my own space by figuring out what I engage in. But anyways, listen.
Dog just joined.
This was
Freeway Ricky Rose.
This was a conversation around mental health. Conversation around taking care of ourselves.
We still need to get Bola the professional on. So let's figure that out.
Get us what?
Don't worry. Listen, my major in college was psychology. So
I know.
I come
you know what? I'm going to reach out to Dr. Bola and see if we can actually have a proper live, not a replay. What the whole ideas behind these replays is to call attention to them, because when we initially did the podcast, it was during COVID. I don't think a lot of people listened to those episodes, and I felt like they were so meaningful. There was so much information packed into it. So I didn't want to ask the guests to come back on again and have another 2 hours of conversation that they've already had. So it was really more of a replay, and if they were available, it would be great if they could come. But it was really just to talk live about what's going on and then call attention to the actual episode so people can go listen to it. Yeah. So you guys, if you didn't listen to it, go check it out. It's called On Self-Care and Mental Health with Dr. Bola. But what I will do is I will ask her if she can come on some other time to actually have this conversation, because I think it's so meaningful in general, but particularly for the Nigerian or the Black community. Let me not even say the Nigerian. It's so meaningful for the Black community, and all the things that we touched on in terms of protecting your mental health, self-care, raising children from a place of empathy, knowing when to cut off, not taking on things that are not good for you, either bad news, media, things that don't feed you, from a joy and inspired place, limiting those. So anyways, very great podcast. We love Dr. Bola, and thank you guys for coming on, especially to you, Ola, for adding so much flavor.
To add on to that, what I like the most, for people depending on the audience you have, what I like the most about that episode with Dr. Bola was that she could relate she was raised in Nigerian, so she could relate a lot of the professional things she was saying with people that may have been raised traditionally in some sense or the other. So
yeah, no, it's very good, and it's a must listen for all the parents. I mean, all of us, we're all in the same boat trying to raise children in this crazy world. So anyways, y'all check it out. But thank you guys for listening to our live. Great times.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
coming out.
We enjoyed it.
God bless you.
You guys remember
Good night.
to go check out
Hold on, Lola.
to tongue twister. Lola and Ola. Lola and Ola, they have dedicated their lives to, helping people fix their relationships, their marriages. They're doing an amazing job. This is their ministry. You guys check them out. They have an amazing practice, an amazing story, and I think you'll really enjoy it, especially if you've enjoyed some of the insights dropped here today. So we appreciate you. Say hi to your beautiful wife.
Say Shola
Yes.
John.
Okay, all right then.
And Emma John.
Have a good one.
We
Bye-bye.
out though.
Bye,
How
everyone.
about that?
I don't know. How do we end this? This is always my struggle.
You push the X.
Thanks, everyone. Next time. Join next time.
Bye.
Drew real metal like a candle.
I'm hungry.
All right, let's go get
I
some.
didn't eat a lot
Woo!
today.